Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
And after that mantra was given, they told that you do this mantra, Anushthan, and it will be beneficial to you. Now this kind of topic comes again and again throughout Bhagavad. Whenever Lord Shiva has to say something, he will say good about Bhagavan Vishnu. And whenever Vishnu Bhagavan has to say something, he will say something good about Lord Shiva. This Vaishnavite and Shaivite, they go on fighting. Like these two political parties, the politicians, they sit together, they drink together, they fall together. But the followers go on fighting among each other. Here also, this has to be brought out to our knowledge that Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, they are not in opposition to each other. So, when this Narayan mantra was given by Lord Shiva to Prachetas, they were busy in continuing their Anushthan. One day, Naradji happened to go to Prachin Barhi's place. So he saw that Prachin Barhi was very much engaged in doing lot of yajnas. So Naradji asked, "What for you are doing all these things? What do you want?" He said, "I don't know, I don't want anything, but my Purohit told, Yajna karo, so I am doing it." So Naradji said, "Can you see up there? What is there?" So Prachin Barhi, Raja, he looks up. When he looks up there, from there, all those pashu, those animals which were offered as sacrifice, all those people who were troubled for collecting the donations for conducting the yajna, isn't it? All those were standing up there. And they were frightening this king. So, Naradji asked, "Sir, what is this I am seeing?" He said, "They are waiting for you to go. The moment you go, they will take care of you." "No, but what I have done?" "Whenever you have done any good work, charitable work involving public money, this is what happens. So, if you have to do good of your own earnings, not collecting public funds and doing the things. So, then what will happen to me? But I have already done this thing." Then Naradji tells him the gati, the ultimate destination of a jiva who is engaged in this world for doing good or bad works, activities. What happens to that? This is told by Naradji by a most fantastic story, and this story is known as Puranjana Akhyan, Puranjanopakhyan. So, this story goes that in reality, this Jiva and Ishvara, they are very close friends. This thought comes in Upanishad in a straight language. Dva suparna sayuja sakaya samanam vruksham parishashvajate tayoranya pippalam sadhumatti anashnan anyaha avichakashi. Upanishad clearly tells, because the student of Upanishad is available when he is listening. This is assumed. But when these different kinds of kathas go, so many people come, so many people go, and then the ghanti is there, somebody suddenly comes for doing namaskar, and those who are listening, they with great difficulty they are able to sit, or else constantly they are moving like a idli stone. Such kind of students, they cannot focus their attention. I remember once I was conducting Ramayan Yajna, Tulsi Ramayan in Shimla. So, when I sat and so many people in one Sanatan Dharma temple, and our Chinmaya discipline kind of thing, come at the time, nobody should get up, nobody should talk, answer. And when I was sitting there for yajna, one old lady, she came, bent with something in her hand, carrying flowers, kumkum, chandan, and then fruits, and unconcerned about the whole universe. Atmannevatmanatushta. She came, very elderly lady, came dashing everybody. Beta jara jaga dena, give me Sanskrit. And after she came, so I was very cool. There I learned a great lesson. And then, because she was bent and short, I was sitting on a vase feet. So she said, Beta jara aage aana, come here. Then she took chandan and then kumkum and then one flower she put on my head. It fell down. Again she lifted, again it put. And then she pressed it. After that was done, then he took one apple as a prasad and put it as a paperweight on the Ramayana. Thereafter she did 3 pradakshina. And after doing pradakshina to me, then she did namaskar to Bhagwan Ramachandra, that temple. Then took another pradakshina. Then came and did namaskar to everybody. Santo namaskar. And slowly and coolly she walked away. That day I learned the joy of devotion. She was not disturbed. What others will say, and this I am doing, what Mahatmaji will say. What Mahatma, beta idhar aao. When somebody calls you a child, isn't it, you are totally dissolved. Bade Mahatma hai, aaja idhar. Isn't it? From that day onward, this is the lesson I have learned. Therefore you must have seen, anything happening around, we should not get disturbed. That not getting disturbed by anything is a technique of spiritual life. Now, many of us have got this problem that our mind is constantly agitated, unwanted. If that scratching will go away when they run. But they forget, wherever they go, their body and eczema also goes with them. Same is the condition of our mind. So what is to be done? This we have to learn. See, be very attentive. The energy expresses in our life at 2 levels. One is subtle and other is gross. Now that energy is infinite. Before that energy is properly channelized, if we dam that energy, it will create problems for us. This example is given by our Swamiji in one of his books. Suppose we build a dam on a river. What will happen? The normal flow of waters, which was otherwise naturally disposed of to the ocean, is not allowed to. So we have curbed it. Then that water will go on accumulating. And if we do not pre-plan the distribution of the accumulated water, the same water will destroy the dam and create a chaos. The same thing happens when we walk the spiritual path. Therefore, before we dam our energy, before we control our energy, we must have a clear picture what I am going to do with this harvested energy. That is very essential. And that is why we are supposed to go to the teacher. The teacher knows each and every small little thing. And therefore, if we practice what is being told here according to Swamiji's instruction, you will see all your problems will get solved from your within. You don't require anybody to tell from outside what I have to do. And when you discover your own ways of dissolving the problem, then we are growing spiritually. Otherwise, how long we will go on asking others about our sadhana? No. Then we have to discover. And therefore, here, this particular topic tells us that this Jiva and Ishvara, they are together, but this we will not understand because we are not yet controlled. We are not that kind of very subtle students. So Bhagavad Puran tells us in a story form. This is called as first, the knowledge is given parokshatvena, indirectly. And then it is given directly. So first, the total knowledge is given in the form of a upakhyan. And that upakhyan goes that there were two friends. And one day, one of them, one was Puranjan, other was Avidnyat. And they are very close friends. One day, this Puranjan suddenly left. I am going out. Where are you going? Who are you to ask me? I am going. He goes. And when he goes, he comes across a beautiful township. And that township has got 9 gates. And he enters in that township. And the description of all those 9 gates is given. 2 eyes, 2 nose, 2 ears, 1 mouth. All that description is given. And thereafter, this city is protected by 5 watchmen, and they are terrible cobras, panchapranas. And in this way, this Puranjan gets into that town. And one day, when he was moving in that town, he comes across a girl, exactly in the cinema. And her name is Buddhi or Pramada. And that Buddhi smiles at him, he smiles at her. And then she looks the other side, then he also looks where she is looking. And in no time, this Puranjan falls in love with that Pramada. And when she laughs, he laughs. When she cries, he cries. And she says, I am very smart. Yes, I am very smart. I am feeling very dull. I am also feeling very dull. There is a total identification with that buddhi vritti. And in this way, thereafter, the whole life is spent only to dance in tune with that wife called as buddhi. And in this way, after living and doing a sincere sadhana of getting identified with the wife, this is what the grahasthas do, isn't it? Whole life, they do only one sadhana, get identified with the wife, and therefore it is said in Bhagavad Mahapuran, all those men who are ladies in the last life, and all the ladies were gents in the last life. Because of this, because of constant contemplation of the opposite sex, the man thinks of the wife and the wife thinks of the man. And in this way, they are constantly having that thought, and next life is the other sex. Then, this Puranjan one day dies. And when he dies, then he is born as a woman. And when he is born as a woman, this Jiva, he gets married to a person. And then children, papa continues. And one day, that means this Puranjan who has become a woman, his husband dies in the next life. And when that husband dies, naturally he has become Vidva. Because last birth he was he, so he has become Vidva, he has become a widow. And then he is crying, now what will happen to my children, what will happen to me? He died, that has no meaning. What will happen to me is more important. And when this is happening, that time, that Avidnyat, his friend, he comes. And he says, hey, why are you crying? Why are you crying? When your wife will die, then you will understand. Your husband will die, then you will understand. So, then that Avidnyat, he tells, you have forgotten me? We came together. And when we came together, I told you, don't get into that town. It's a Maya Nagari. But you never listened to me. And you got lost into that 9-gated city. And now you are thinking that I am poor, what will happen to me? This is not our days. Chalo apana days. And when this is said, then that Puranjan Jeev, he remembers, Hare, he is really my friend. And then this instruction is given by the Guru Maharaj to that Jiva. And in this manner, again that Puranjan gives away everything, he is Shoka Moha, and then he comes to discover his pristine glory. In this manner, when the story is so beautifully, elaborately explained, when we study the original with the shloka, that I will see how beautiful it is. Then the same story is in our own story. For no reason, we get identified with the things and beings around. Therefore, please understand these 3 stages in spiritual sadhana. First of all, we have to practice the sadhana of disidentification with the things around. Second is disidentification with the beings around. And the third is disidentification with the thoughts. These 3 disidentifications are called as renunciation of 3 kinds of mamatas. The disidentification with the things is giving up tamasic mamata. Disidentification with the beings, people around us is giving up the rajasic mamata. And disidentification with the thoughts is giving up the sattvic mamata. When these 3 mamatas are conquered, then only our mind will not have disturbance on account of tamoguna, rajoguna, sattva-guna. If this is not done, then what will happen? Our condition is like a car or a tractor, or I don't know whether you have driven tractor or not. Once I did that with the lungi holding like this thing, maya aa raha tha. In one of the farms I had gone for some camp, and there was such a lovely farm. I said, let me drive your tractor. And that time I came to know very peculiar things. That the tractor has got brakes on both the sides, and this brake applied to this wheel and this brake applied to this. And you have to have control over your foot when you press them. And the accelerator is not connected with the foot. It is like a lever, you put it up there. So fix the speed, and after that control the speed only by a brake application. Suppose you have to take a 180 degree turn. So one wheel you jam. So because this wheel is jammed, it becomes a pivot. And the accelerator is on. So this tractor goes like this and you go back. Now our condition is, our accelerator, mind's rajoguna thinking is on. And externally, we have applied brake. What will be our condition? Inside, going. That is why Shivananda Swami very clearly told, we must keep ourselves busy so much that we have no time to think. First, keep physically busy. When we learn how to be physically busy and yet not getting mentally tired, then we have done some sadhana. Otherwise, for us, hardly we have to sit for the other day, what was Ram Navami was there. Only 3 hours we have to sit. But how many times? 3 hours sitting is not possible. What sadhana we can do? And this will not happen overnight. This you have to work for it. So when it is required, we should be able to be walking for 30 miles at a stretch without getting tired. When it is required, we should be able to sit at a stage 30 hours without getting tired. Then only we have grown out of body. Otherwise our body has grown. Isn't it? Therefore, if we really want to help ourselves, these few things which our Swamiji has planned, they are not just like that. What is required is your cooperation. And when you slowly grow, then you will understand that jhadu was very essential in life. You are lucky that you don't have to wash dishes. You must have heard in the last batch, there is to be 3 batches. 7, 8 students. And one batch, all the dishes of the breakfast. Those who were here last time, Anil, Gisri, they have done this job. Now we have got the servants for that. And because of that, 3-4 students left. We are here, come here for realization. And we are realized, you have to wash dishes. Isn't it? So, when our body thus is physically exhausted, that energy is no more suppressed in the mind. That energy found a vent. That is why there are 2 things. These 2 things you must have studied in Swami's books. One is called as suppression. Other is called as sublimation. First of all, we begin with suppression. And then convert that suppression into sublimation. That is sadhana. So how do we suppress? We suppress that instead of living a licentious activity in life, we lead a disciplined activity. Activity is not suspended. But earlier, we were doing whatever we want to do. But now we do what we are supposed to do. So activity continues, but the disciplining comes. Once the disciplining is introduced in our system, then our prana shakti gets properly channelized. And when the prana shakti is properly channelized, then you conserve your energy. Suppose you sit for 15 minutes for meditation in a perfect manner. 15 minutes meditation is equivalent to your 12 hours sleep. It is so effective. You get totally refreshed. Therefore, if you sit for meditation and thereafter you have conserved lots of energy, and then that conserved energy is not properly channelized, and we are not yet qualified to hold on to that huge quantum of energy, the result will be, it will start showing urticaria on the mind. It is an allergy in the mind to have uncontrolled thought process. And therefore, what is required is, first of all, we study, find out parokshate in a story form, and then apply that in our life as aparoksha jnanam. That is why it is very, very essential for all of us that we lead a life according to the disciplining. The first disciplining is for controlling the tamoguni mamata. Second, rajoguni. And third is the sattvic. Now up to here, after having told, then Prachin Barri asked a question that, "O Lord, hey Naradji, I am always surprised. You are telling me that after I die, all these people who are here shown me, they will trouble me. But my body will be already burned. So I have done the papa by this body. Why the other body should suffer? That body is newly created. How come that body gets the effect of the karma done by this body?" Here, the teacher tells Prachin Bari, look here, body never does any karma. Karma is done only by the mind. Because what is karma? Karma is identification with the body modifications is called as karma. When I walk, in this walking is done by the body. But I get identified with that body's walking and I say, I walk. Those people who walk in deep sleep. There was one brahmachari, we ultimately told him that when you walk next night, don't come back. But he had a problem. When he used to go in deep sleep for a walk, he used to go with his bed. He used to fold it, put it and start walking. So we told our watchman, when he's going, take down the bed and let him walk. And when he is to walk in his sleep, he won't know that he has gone somewhere. So we don't condemn that person. No, I never walk, body walk. Isn't it? That is called disidentification. So when we understand this principle, what is the principle? That karma is done by the mind and not by the body. This mind is technically called as Sukshma Sharir and not the Sthula Sharir. Therefore, when we discard this body, what happens? That the Sukshma Sharir with which we are identified is again born in another body, and the sufferings are not for that body, but they are meant for the jiva who has gone from one body to another body. And therefore, the only way to come out of this commotion of our life is Tasmin Mahan Mukharita Madhubhit Charitra Piyusha Shesha Sarita Paritasravanti Yate Pibanti Vrusha Vitrusho Nrupagada Karnaihi Tanas Prushanti Shanastrush Bhayasho Kamoha. Therefore, those who engage themselves in the company of the Mahatmas, wise people, continuously exposed to satsang, they come to discover this fact of life, that we are someone other than the body. And this whole Deshakala Vastu, they are only governed by the mind. The time is the concept of mind, the space is the concept of mind, and if we imagine that the things will change by changing time and space, we are still only in the hallucinations. If the time and space is the concept of mind, and if the mind is under our control, any place you are, any time you are the master, you are the boss. Not knowing this, we go on imagining. That is why I told you the other day, in Avadhuta Gita, this most beautiful prayer comes. This prayer I like so much. There it is said, O Lord, I have done 3 sins, please forgive me. What are those 3 sins? First, to take your darshan, I have been moving from one Tirtha Kshetra to another Tirtha Kshetra. Thereby, I have disrespected your omnipresence. O Lord, forgive me that. And then, O Lord, please forgive me. I started praising you by words of praise. And thereby I denied that you are beyond the reach of words. And oh Lord, I was meditating on you, and thereby I have disowned my identity with you. Oh Lord, please forgive my these 3 sins. See, where is the prayer and where are we? And this we can know only through satsang, through study of the scriptures. Therefore, O King, when you listen these Mahatmas, they are constantly singing the glory of the Lord. And in this singing and listening to the glory of the Lord, the mind becomes naturally quiet. And when the mind becomes naturally quiet, that quietness is required for contemplation. Our quieting of the mind is like what? We sit and tighten our fist and tighten our teeth, and then we hold ourselves मन कहाँ जाता है? That is a cartoon of meditation. It is not meditation. Meditation is as simple as when you open the eyes, you see the colors and forms. What we have to do? Nothing. It is as effortless and as simple for a wife to become a lady. I am talking under Indian conditions. In Western world, there is unisexual marriages. Therefore, I am telling you. There he gets married to him. Isn't it? So, what efforts and what sadhana that a wife has to do to become a woman? She doesn't have to do anything. In the same manner, that effortless existence, I am, when this becomes the foundation of knowledge, you will see thereafter, we are effortlessly comfortable in every situation. Like the example I gave you the other day, like the water in a jar. And the same water, if it is in the form of the ice cubes, looking this way, that way, with great difficulty. Isn't it? Only thing is, let us dissolve this crystalline or crystallize personality. And this is dissolved by a simple solution of Lord's name. The more you go on chanting, singing the Lord's glory, you will see this is called as Hridaya Dravanam. Our heart gets melted. And in that melted heart, there is no hardness. The softness comes. And in that softness, there is nothing but most comfortable, choiceless existence. What is reality is choiceless existence. Therefore, lesser the choice we demand in life, nearer we are to the reality. More the choice we demand in life, far away we are from the reality. Because the reality is choiceless existence. Now this choiceless existence, how to get it? Very simple technique. Don't demand for any choice. Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna. The fall of the Supreme to the level of relative existence called as Jiva was illustrated through the story of Puranjan and his wife Buddhi, the intellect. And then this Puranjan started so much infatuated, identified with this Puranjani, that when she was smiling, he was smiling. When she was crying, he was crying. Now this story looks so simple because it can be directly applied to our own life. Now let us analyze this story systematically and distinctly. All of us suffer in our life, if we suffer, without any vehicle. Isn't it? Normally the suffer in Hindi is, it requires some vehicle. Without that vehicle you cannot go for suffer. But in English, people suffer. Why they suffer? For a very simple reason. Getting identified with something which is not worthy of getting identified. And this identification, what it is like. Let us take one or two instances, events, then we understand what is the meaning of identification. Those who want to see a best example of identification should go to Calcutta and watch a football match. I can never forget that vivid expression of identification. That penalty corner, ball is kept and one player is only coming from a distance running and he wants to kick that ball. That time all the audience, spectators sitting in their own place, they also become like this. And their leg also goes like that. And instead of the ball, there is a head in front. Isn't it? Now why this is happening? Because we get so much identified with that particular player who is coming and he is now going to kick. In the same manner, when our intellect is dull, I am feeling very dull. When the intellect is sharp, I am very smart. When the mind is having some miserable thought, I am miserable. When the mind is bubbling out of joy, I am very happy. And in this way, we become identified with the modifications of our mind, with the modifications of our intellect, and thereafter acquire a status of being happy or miserable. Now, if we are little intelligent, not too much intelligent, because more of the quantity of intelligence we have, we become intelligently miserable. We discover ways and means how to become miserable. That is how you will see intelligent people become miserable by small things. Like what? I think we should change the curtains of our room or of our house. Why? They are all right. What is wrong with that? You don't have any aesthetic sense. Once that thought gets into our head, unless those curtains are changed, we cannot sleep. And after that is done, see, they are not matching with the sofa covering. Isn't it? And then we must change that. And when we start living this kind of life, we imagine we are prosperous and intelligent. And then there is no end to it. Therefore, all what we have to do is only one simple practice. The mind will have its modifications. Sometime it will be happy, sometime it will be miserable. So let us not give undue importance to the whims and fancy of the modifications of the mind or intellect. Let us learn to stand apart and watch the modifications of the mind. And this is one singular sadhana. If we do, you will see simple words of the great saints carry such a deep meaning. And what are those simple words? Tukamane uge rahave je oila te pahave. Stand apart, don't comment, keep your mouth shut and watch. The more we refuse to react outside, to that extent we are nearer to our own self. All of us suffer because we talk. Among animals there is no misunderstanding. Isn't it? Because there is no... See, I went to their house and never said, please come and sit. Because there is no problem of that kind. There is no house. Isn't it? So, this is one method. If we can learn how to stand apart, let us be outstanding. Isn't it? Outstanding means standing out. So let us stand outside our life and watch all that is happening. And for this, where we begin from? We begin from external, periphery. What is that? Newspaper is read by everybody. And all of us come together and discuss the same newspaper. And there is a competition. Who has read it first and who reveals it first? And all those news have no meaning. What is said today, tomorrow it will change. It was a wrong report. Therefore, let us learn not to comment on the events around us in life. No need. Second thing, when we thus control ourselves, we don't comment on what is happening outside or around us, we have initiated ourselves on the spiritual path. Now, second thing, When we are required, then alone we talk. When it is not required, we need not. 3. We stop reacting in our life, but start acting as required. Our Swamiji used to say, all the sin is in reaction. There is no sin in action. What is reaction? Reaction is an action clouded by our own likes and dislikes. So when an action is clouded, influenced by our likes and dislikes, that action is called as reaction. And this reaction further strengthens our likes and dislikes. When we thus go on leading, and this is to be lived every moment, it is not only weekend spirituality, ultimately to become a weekend person. Therefore, after we live this type of life at the periphery, then we come at the center. So how do we live our life at the center? Let us not give undue importance to the whims and fancy of our mind. And to come out of the influence of the whims and fancy, simple method is, let us plan the life, let us plan the work, and the work the plan. Don't go on changing now and then. I think I should get up in the morning at 4 o'clock. Decided. 4 o'clock next day. And then, even if I get up, what will I do? Why waste time? Let us sleep. And again go back. I am talking of my experience. I am not telling that you are doing it. I know you all get up in the morning at 3 o'clock and sit for meditation. Isn't it? So, when we thus learn to stand apart, then what happens? The most beautiful thing. There will be miseries in life. Don't imagine that if we become spiritual, if we want to walk spiritual path, miseries will be less in number. No, they may increase. But what will happen? Because of the arrival of the miseries, we will not become miserable. See how beautiful it is. Arrival of miseries is one thing, and after the arrival of the miseries, to become miserable is another thing. And this is possible by only one technique, and that technique is disidentification. And this disidentification will not take in a fraction of a second. One has to work for that. And when we thus learn, mind becomes quieter, and then avidnyata, for this Puranjan, for him that avidnyata comes. And who is this avidnyata? Avidnyata is unknown person, and that unknown person is our Guru Maharaj. He comes in our life and tells that you are not qualified to be miserable. Isn't it? Klaibhyam masma gama partha na etatvai upapadyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam yaktvodishta parantapa. It doesn't suit you that you are studying Vedanta, you are studying Bhagavad Gita, and you are becoming spiritual, and that has become your profession. And yet miserable? No. And therefore, once we learn this simple thing, that after realization what? Therefore, somebody came to meet me, I was telling, please for God's sake, don't get realized. Because if somebody will get realized, then what will I do? So for my sake, please don't get, okay? Maintain a level of ignorance. This somehow goes in our heads that I want to see God, I want to realize. After that what? After seeing God you will be happy, isn't it? Or miserable? If you are going to be miserable after seeing the God, then continue. What is the need? You are already there. And after seeing the God, if you are going to be happy in your life, then after seeing that, if you are going to do that, why not start right away? See, this one principle, if it gets into our system, instead of struggling, crying, frustrating to see God, let us see that the God functions through us. And when will the God function through us? When we give Him a side so that He can overtake. जगह मिलने पर साइड देंगे. No, on the trucks it is written, blow horn, जगह मिलने पर साइड मिलेगा. So the Lord is reading that thing on our back. लेकिन जगह मिलता ही नहीं. Our ego is becoming fatter and fatter. I am doing this, I am doing that. How long? Or how fat? Isn't it?
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. हरिः ॐ. श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ॐ.